So I see some relief, but I don't understand why we have seen this much euphoria.
All right, I think we can all agree there is nothing more funny than MSNBC having no choice but to admit things are actually getting better when the stock market chart next to this news anchor is all the way up in the green. Now, I will even show you later in the video how MSNBC started their day acting like everything was falling apart, and now they have to end their day saying, you know what, things are actually getting better. You'll see how they twist it. Anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
It's still, I think, too much euphoria relative to where things stand. First of all, we still have a 10% tariff on virtually all of our trading partners, at least much higher than that, of course, on China. We still don't have a way out of this. We still don't know what exactly Trump is demanding from these other countries that are apparently calling him nonstop. And how do you negotiate with someone who doesn't actually know what they want? What kind of concessions can they even offer?
Okay, off the bat, again from MSNBC, insulting the audience and not giving everybody the full information. The reason why we still have tariffs on these other countries is because they also still have tariffs on us. Now again, wait until you see how MSNBC starts to twist all of this and not give any hype or support to our president or anything about the stock market. Check this out.
He can't articulate what the objectives are or what he wants them to give up, what these other countries should give up in exchange. So I see some relief, but I don't understand why we have seen this much euphoria at this point anyway, given that we're still worse off. Companies are still worse off than they were before so-called Liberation Day.
By the way, she might be the only news anchor on like anywhere I can look up as far as saying, well, I see some relief. I'm going to do this in real time to prove to you guys what this some relief is. Hold on, let's just go ahead and do this for you guys. S&P 500. Does that look like some relief to you? Let's even go ahead and extend that. We are near the plateau point where the initial drop-off was, and MSNBC is really on TV saying, well, we have some relief, and we don't even really know what exactly is going on. Where has MSNBC been this whole time? It seems like everybody else knows exactly what's going on. We are trying to get a more fair deal with the other countries. I don't understand how this was even allowed on TV. And now I don't know if this news anchor is lying or being disingenuous or actually doesn't know what's going on at this point. And I'm not trying to be insulting, but I don't understand why this news network cannot just say, job well done, everything is looking better. Instead, it's this pessimistic attitude of, let's see, it's not that great. Ridiculous. Now, just to show you guys the comparison, this is how MSNBC started their day.
The markets are off to a roller coaster start this morning as more of President Trump's tariffs take effect. It comes after another turbulent day for Wall Street with a sharp sell-off, sending the markets into the red at the closing bell. The fourth straight day of losses has the S&P 500 nearing a bear market, which is a drop of at least 20% from its recent high. As the Wall Street Journal notes, the S&P 500 had a historic day, with Tuesday's swing marking the first time since at least 1978. The benchmark rose more than 4% during a session, only to close down more than 1%. The tech-heavy NASDAQ composite blew its biggest intraday gain since at least 1982.
So there you go, with all of these stats, as low as 1982, you got 4% in there, everything is going bad, so of course they had no choice but to end the day with, things are better, but it's not like it's a lot better. I see it a little bit better. That's why I love these videos. And MSNBC, they always seem to trap themselves where they go all in on hating Trump and then the narrative flips and they have no choice but to actually praise Trump a little bit. One thing I'll give them, they are really good at trying to somewhat implement a Democrat narrative in there on not giving Donald Trump any credit for anything. That is impressive.
Mr. President, it seems that China's made some...
Let her just do that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks. For the past few days, we've heard from this administration no pause.
Was this idea of doing a pause, did that just come about this morning? Can you tell us exactly what came into consideration for you and your advisors?
For a period of time, I wouldn't say this morning. Over the last few days, I've been thinking about it. I've been dealing with Scott, with Howard, with some other people that are very professional. And I think it probably came together early this morning, fairly early this morning. Just wrote it up. We didn't have the use of... we didn't have access to lawyers, or we just wrote it up from our hearts, right? It was written from the heart, and I think it was well written too.
All right, before we get into what actually happened, because I do think Donald Trump is trolling a little bit here, because there was an actual tactic that was implemented. We'll get to that, but first, a word from our sponsor. And by the way, we only have sponsors because of you guys. Check it out. If you drink coffee and you care about supporting a small business, you've got to check out Blackout Coffee. This isn't your average weak sauce corporate coffee. Blackout Coffee is roasted right here in the USA by people who stand for faith, freedom, and hard work. They support our troops, the Second Amendment, and everything that makes this country great. They've got everything from whole beans and ground coffee to convenient pods and even instant coffee. Two standouts to me: Morning Reaper, a smooth and bold medium roast that's perfect to start your day. And if you like it strong, go for Brutal Awakening, their darkest roast and loaded with caffeine. And here's the deal: you get 20% off your first order. Just head to blackoutcoffee.com/T-SPLY and use the code T-SPLY at checkout, T-SPLY. That's blackoutcoffee.com/T-SPLY. I'll put the link in the description for you guys. Go ditch the woke coffee brands and fuel up with something right. Blackout Coffee, wake up with a purpose. Go check them out. They are awesome, and it's awesome coffee.
And all this was, again, this was driven by the president's strategy. He and I had a long talk on Sunday, and this was his strategy all along. And that, you might even say that he goaded China into a bad position. They responded. They have shown themselves to the world to be the bad actors. And we are willing to cooperate with our allies and with our trading partners who did not retaliate. It wasn't a hard message. Don't retaliate. Things will turn out well.
Okay, so pretty much according to the Trump administration, this was the plan the whole time, to see who really are our allies. Funny enough, this was also aired on MSNBC while the graph was going up right under me. So the stock market was already, going way, way up. And one thing I do want to point out is I am well aware that there are Democrats or opposition saying that this was a big mistake. This was never even a plan. It just so happened to work out. But again, according to the Trump administration, they are straight up saying it was a trap, essentially. That let's see who actually retaliates. And out of every single country to retaliate, China was the one who actually did the real retaliation. I will point out that there were countries who did write up their drafts as far as how they are going to retaliate, like the EU did in other countries. However, the only one that actually went through to retaliate is China. And because of that, when you have one country as the outlier, everybody else is seeing that and like, okay, now we know who the bad guy is, who the ally is. If China is willing to go this hard on the United States, this is why we might want to band together and figure out how we're going to do this, because China could have collapsed anybody else's economy. The only way this strategy would have worked is the way that Donald Trump did it.
Many of you in the media clearly missed the art of the deal. You clearly failed to see what President Trump is doing here. You tried to say that the rest of the world would be moved closer to China when in fact we've seen the opposite effect. The entire world is calling the United States of America, not China, because they need our markets, they need our consumers, and they need this president in the Oval Office to talk to them. And that's exactly why more than 75 countries have called, because the United States of America is the best place in the world to do business. And as the president has shown great courage, as the secretary has said, in choosing to retaliate against China even higher.
And look, the stock market directly reflected the trust in Donald Trump. As much as Democrats want to say that, this is terrible, it's not working out, if anything, they should be thanking Donald Trump, because how many politicians are in the stock market right now? In fact, I was talking to some friends. Imagine the random person is like, you know what? I'm going to throw in like $5,000 in the stock market. Why not? How much money did that random person make? They got to be out there. If you're if you're watching my videos, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear it. But yeah, again, a very, very odd thing. We know that there is a dismissal on Donald Trump for not being a good businessman. You always hear how, he bankrupted all of his companies. Again, this might actually be one of the greatest deals in world history if everything works out great. And I am not like a Donald Trump apologist, but the reason why I make these videos is because I hate fake outrage. I hate the overhype, and this is exactly what happens. This is why MSNBC has no choice. Even CNN, they have no choice. Like, okay, yeah, things are getting better now because you missed the art of the deal that's coming from the Trump administration.
Blame the people sitting right at this desk, right behind this desk, or another desk. You get your choice of 7. I happen to pick the Resolute. But I blame the people sitting behind in this chair, behind this desk, for being stupid, incompetent, or not having courage. This should have been done years ago. This should have been done before Obama, in all fairness. Not only Biden, Obama. This should have been done many years ago. This started with the...
And if we're going to be intellectually honest, Republicans were not for tariffs at the time. They were all about free trade. That is why you're seeing a lot of those clips of these Democrats who are all about tariffs on China. And now we're seeing this flip-flop, really.
World Trade Organization, which was owned by China. It was owned and paid for by China. They didn't even have to do things. They considered them a nation that was undeveloped. They said they were a developing nation. Well, we're a developing nation too, if you think about it. Look at our inner cities. Look at what's happened. I think we're starting from ground zero there, right? So we're a developing nation too. No, I don't. I know it's a lot of people would take heat for saying it, but I blame the people sitting at this desk more than I blame China. If China can get away with what they got away with taking hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars right out of our pocket, because our people here were stupid. They were stupid people. Maybe corrupt, I don't know.
And by the way, there are plenty of Republicans who do not support what Donald Trump did. This was a massive, massive risky move, and we're still not out of the clear yet, okay? We still got to make sure some deals get done. We don't know what China's going to do besides the fact of banning TikTok, which at this point, we are also over TikTok. I wanted TikTok to stick around, but if China is going to use it the way they're using it, at this point, I mean, China's on their own now.
I don't know how you can be that stupid. How do you get to be president and you're stupid? But they certainly weren't courageous, and they allowed this to happen. And with Japan and with many other countries that took advantage of us. I mean, we had deficits with almost every country. I used to read these things. First term, I'd read them. I'd actually read the agreements. I'd say, how could anybody agree to this stuff? So certainly they were rough, and they were tough, and they were smart, and you can blame them, but I really blame the people that allowed them to do it, because if you could read first grade and you could read these agreements, you'd say, these are terrible deals. I actually used to say, who would allow deals like this to be made for our country?
And to be fair, one thing that the Trump administration is doing really well is really like dumbing it down, not in an insulting way, but making it really easy for people to understand. Obviously, when you see like the percentages versus another percentage, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes and the details of all of these deals. But again, the Trump administration did a really, really good job of making sure we're going to educate the public. They even had Donald Trump get up there with his sign and say, this is our deal, that's their deal. They have a higher number, we have a lower number. What are we supposed to do here? This is China. They're taking advantage of everybody. What do you want me to do here? So I think Trump's team, once again, did a really good job. I think the majority of Republicans, as far as like the senators and congressmen, they're being way more careful as far as sticking their neck out and supporting this, because again, Republicans are not so much for tariffs. Apparently we are now. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of everything. Again, if you are a Republican and you're super happy about this, that's great. But again, we do have to wait and see what happens. The stock market is going up and down, but we're almost near to where we plateaued before as far as an economy. And according to the Trump administration, we're going to keep going up according to the deals that are already being talked about. So thank you guys for everything. Make sure you guys go buy some coffee from the sponsor. Again, it's all because of you guys. God bless, and we'll see you all later.